So here we go. So in the first, what we did in the document is we have changed it to instead be a long list of 20 some items. We categorized it into different categories. So when you initially start in the document, you'll see that the first requirement is that you have at least 100 members. So you're signing off that initially. That 100 members is an increase from 75. Nobody on this call should be anywhere near 100. I think everybody is well enough over 100 that it shouldn't be an issue. The first section that we put together was board management, and that includes things related to board documentation. So your board roster, holding at least 4 meetings per year, and including those minutes. Developing a 12-month business plan and attaching that. If you've done strategic planning, that can be a part of that document. Or just if you haven't done strategic planning, that's fine too. Just an overall business plan of what your plans are for the following year. Here's one change here on number 4, the president-elect should attend chapter leadership training. That is not new. What we added is completed any additional required online training. There was no additional required online training in 2020. We did have some related to, we had some online training options available during the time of COVID that people could participate in, but they were not required. However, in the future, we're reserving the right to make some things required in a virtual platform. If you guys have questions as we move along, just let me know. The next item is having a training orientation program for your new board members for 2021. That has not changed at all. And then the additional change in this section is that you appoint delegates to the State Legislative Action Committee and follow the guidelines related to the LAC. Any questions on that section? There's a couple changes, but nothing really. The LAC is one of the substantial changes, but I think most of you are already familiar with that process.
Crystal, the only thing that we did add on the orientation program for your incoming chapter board members is that we attached a sample agenda, and that is in the platform when you go in there, and I'll show you in a little bit. And we also added some things that you should include in that training. So making sure that you have some headquarters information, board versus staff versus committee responsibilities, and expectations of a director. So we just specified that just a little bit more because people kind of wondered what they should include in that.
Yeah, and you'll see that throughout this is that we've added some more specifics. Instead of just saying financial statements, it gives examples of what you should include and things like that. So we've tried to make it so it's you know exactly what we're looking for.
Crystal, I have a question. This is Leslie in North Carolina. Mentioned the LAC just now and said there was no change to that, but yet I got the impression from the, or at least I thought you said, but I had got the impression from that initial email, which I don't have up in front of me, that there was going to be a slight change on the LAC side. Could you elaborate on that?
Yes, there was no requirement to do anything for the LAC, so there is a change. We've added something in there that says you have appointed delegates to your State Legislative Action Committee in accordance with the guidelines, and that the appointed delegates are should provide regular reports to the Board of Directors.
Okay, so I do have a couple questions on that one.
Sure, go ahead.
To ask?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so we are focusing really hard at a board level with retrenching our relationship between the board and the LAC. Mm-hmm. And it's going well, but it's really great to have things like this that are kind of hard and fast, that, you know, documentation that we can point to. And so
sure.
My question is on the very last. The chapter provides regular communications with members regarding LAC activity. Mm-hmm. And I want to make sure that we're not doing something as we should or shouldn't. Our board kind of puts that on the LAC, that you decide what you want to say, and you can use the chapter technology and we'll help you do it. And here's how it works, and all, you know, use our software, but you are responsible for your own messaging. And
Sure,
so I might
that
be
makes sense.
micro parsing the language here, but that's why I wanted to get you to talk about it for a second.
Yeah, I think really what we're trying to get across there is that information is provided to the members on a regular basis. Now, regular basis is, kind of vague in that, if you have a very active long session, that may be very frequently, like every week. If you have not a lot going on in your session, you might reach out to the members just at the end of the session to say, here's a wrap up of what happened, and it was very little. So
That's not
that's
what I'm
why.
asking. I'm sorry,
That's
but what
okay.
I'm saying is this phrasing is the chapter,
Correct.
which is different than the LAC. And I'm saying our chapter says to our LAC, that's on you. You provide your own messaging. We will support you with software technology and licensing and all that, but you, the LAC, not the, when I hear the word chapter here, I think board.
Okay, what it's saying is, I think we're saying the same thing and using different language, in that what it's saying is the chapter needs to provide the communication to the members, because your LAC doesn't have the ability probably to do that. So the messaging, yes, should come from the LAC. But the communication vehicle is likely coming through the chapter.
Okay, good enough. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. All right, so the next section is administrative documents, and there's no substantial changes in this section. So I'll just give you a quick overview of what it includes. It includes a checkoff to say that your activities are with the highest legal and ethical standards and are current with CAI bylaws and policies. Provides an opportunity for you to include updated bylaws. Now with that, you only need to submit your bylaws if there's been changes in 2020. Typically, most of you consult us, which we would like you to do so before it's approved, to make sure that it is in line with the model chapter bylaws, and then you can just submit it at the time of recertification if you have not already. Articles of incorporation are on file. We have those for everybody unless there's been a change. It's very unlikely that there are changes that happens once in a blue moon. That you have the appropriate insurance, that you are keeping all records as required by your corporate status, and that you're upholding to the highest ethical standards, which is part of the bylaws. So that stuff's, I think, pretty straightforward. Any questions there? Okay. Moving on to the financial section. Here's where we have some substantial change for the future. The first for you are, as they have been, a minimum of 4 financial statements, and we did specify what we're looking for is a statement of financial performance and statement of financial position, which to me, that means profit and loss and balance sheet. But these are the official accounting terminology. But for those of you who kind of go old school, that's what we're looking for. A copy of your 2019 federal tax return. And if you are under $25,000, just a indication that you are not required to file a tax return. A copy of your proposed budget for 2021. And then the new requirement is that every chapter is required to have an audit or financial review based on your revenue beginning in 2022. So that means you are not required to turn it in until January of 2024. So at the end of your year in 2022, which a great majority of you end on a calendar year basis, you'll have your financial review or audit done in 2023 and we'll submit it in January 2024. There is a cost involved in that for those of you who are not already doing that, which is why we're giving you lead time to prepare for that. And we recommend that you get proposals from accountants in your market to do that. This is a requirement that we, the chapter staff, as well as the board, felt was essential to put in here to ensure that all chapters are adhering to strong financial practices.
Crystal, I have a question.
Sure.
We have an accountant that reviews our financials quarterly.
Mm-hmm.
financials quarterly, and she sends us back financial statements and cash to comparison, a comparison to cash sheet quarterly. Is that enough, or are you requiring more than that?
We are requiring either an official audit or financial review. So, but it is every 3 years, not every year. So yes, it would be beyond the quarterly review of an accountant.
From Robin that says, is that a full audit? And the answer to that is that it depends on the gross revenue. And so if you are over $100,000, you must have an audit. And if you are under that, you can have a review. So it depends on your revenue.
The events and education category, no substantial changes here. Just as a review, we're asking for your 2021 calendar of events. We totally understand that is probably a fluid thing at this point, but we just want to have an idea of what your plans are for 2021. That you've conducted the board leadership development workshop to support the certificate program once in 2020. That could be done in person or virtually. I know some chapters have had great success virtually in the past several months. Had at least 4 other educational programs during the year, and that you've charged a different registration fee for member versus non-member. So again, no changes there, but any questions in that area?
I have one, Crystal.
Oh, go ahead, Tim.
What if we did not successfully have a board training program this year?
Talk to us offline. We might be able to work with you as far as some of your other programming if it met that. We're not going to live or die on that one requirement, but we'll work with you to make sure that you definitely hold it in 2021. We understand this was a weird year for everybody, and if you didn't get to that, just reach out to us and we'll work with you.
Thank you.
Crystal, I have a question.
Sure.
We don't typically do the board leadership workshops. We've done them a couple times, but what we do are the board certifications, which have a lot of the similar sessions that the workshop, and I've always turned those in the past, and they've been accepted. Will that continue?
That will continue. We do have an exemption for Florida. We've provided from time to time because of the requirements for board education in the legislature there. So okay. that will be approved again for this year.
Okay, although I know Emily has a committee working on making that a valid program for Florida to reach our board certification. So that'll be great.
Yep, absolutely. And I think that will be a nice add-on to what you all are already doing. Kathy Barber asked, do the education programs have to provide continuing education? They do not. Not every state is required to provide continuing education. So that's another anomaly in Florida. So they could be either for credit or not for credit. And Rainey is also talking about the Florida exemption.
Yeah. So Rainey, if you will, and I'll show you guys whenever we get to the open water system, but if there's something like Tim was talking about, you know, and he's had the conversation with us, or in the situation of Florida, if you guys would just drop that into a Word document, because the system is going to require you to upload something. And so if you just type that into a Word document saying you spoke to us, or, you know, you are exempt because of this reason, then if you'll just upload that document, that will be good, and we'll be able to see that.
Yeah, and with that's true with any of the things in there, is we just want you to be able to tell us where you are on any of those things. Okay, so let's see here. Moving on, communications and marketing. Nothing has changed here, and this is the last section. The first one is providing or distributing 4 educational print or electronic communications. This is like your magazine, our newsletter. We did add in here blogs or other educational content. We are looking for substantial content. We're not looking for you to advertise that you're having a program on reserve studies. That will not be counted. So I know some of you have had some questions in the past on what exactly counts as content has changed over the last several years. We're happy to answer any questions on that as you go through this process, but we are definitely looking for educational content, not marketing. There's a check here to say that you're complying with the graphic standards, which are made much easier through Media Valet. So you should be able to just download all the graphics and things that you need there, so that you are in compliance with that. The other item here is having a current and relevant website, and it does have a few things in there that we're asking that you keep current: your calendar of events, board roster, and an active link to our Join Now page. We do ask that you not put PDF files of the applications on your website, because it's easy for those to get out of date without you realizing, and much smoother if people can just link directly into our website. And then the final item is that you're promoting CAI membership, our services and advocacy efforts in cooperation with us. Again, you know, we've made that easier through some of our technology platforms as well. So that's the content of the recertification. Like I said, only the two substantive changes in my mind are adding the LAC information as well as the audit information. But I'm happy to take any questions on the content. Okay, before I turn it over to Emily, I do want to just let you all know what happens if you are unable to complete this. This is due January 31st. We typically give 2 or 3 week extension on an as needed basis. It slows us down the more chapters that are late, so please don't just take liberty with that. Please let us know. At about the 2 week mark, you'll get an email probably from Emily that'll say, hey, we haven't gotten this, let us know if there's a problem, and encourage you to turn that in. At the approximately 30-day mark, if you do not comply with it, you will get an email stating that if you don't comply within a probably a 10-day period of time, that we're going to put you on a probationary status, which means we will hold your membership rebates. Nobody wants to do that. I don't like doing it, and we try to give you as many opportunities as possible to do that. But this is a program designed to have minimum requirements that the Board of Trustees has set out. So we do have to make sure that we get everybody's information in. Any other questions on that?
Crystal, I did have a question that had come up before on the audit, and maybe others have the same question.
Sure.
And that is, if they have a CPA on their board, or even as their treasurer, are they allowed to do the audit?
I would prefer not. I think it's a best practice to have somebody who's not involved in the operations of this chapter. I don't have a problem if it's a member of the chapter, as long as you have a separate contract with them to provide services. Now, when I say separate contract, that could be a trade out of advertising for, you know, services or something of that sort, but it should, I don't really want it to be somebody who's on your board, unless that's like your only option. And if it is, talk to us and we'll try to work something out. We really want it to be independent of the inner workings of the chapter. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Emily to share with you the platform that we use to submit the materials.
So this is where you will go first whenever you follow that link. This front page here has this chapter recertification certificate that we just went through. It just has all of the requirements talking about that it's due January 31st and all of that good stuff. And in order to start a submission, you're going to click the Submit Here button. And it's going to take you to your login page. So I thought I had it to automatically log me in. So just give me a second and I will log myself in. If you do not have an account and you have not either submitted your recertification or your awards through here, it's really easy to create an account. You will just do that right over here and scroll to the bottom and register, and it'll get you squared away. But since I have done this before and I've submitted an award and I submitted recertification last year, I can log in. And if you have lost your password, it's easy to click on there as well. You may not remember it if you haven't logged in since last year. So what you're going to do from here is you are going to click here to begin a new submission. And it's going to take you to this page. And to me, you know, we had several people say it was super easy to upload and it walked you through everything. And I'm excited about it because I think it's a great way. You know, a lot of you guys were scanning all of your materials to us or mailing them all to us, and that just takes all of that away, and it's super fantastic. So here you're just going to enter all of your basic information. And I'm not going to go over each of these, but this, like your chapter board of directors, we are asking for you to make sure that you include the terms of office and the membership category. I know not all of you guys do that typically, so just be sure. We're not giving you a template to use or anything like that because you all use something different, but just be sure that information is in there. So all you'll do here is choose file, and you'll be easily able to upload the file here. Again, that is one that you will for sure have, but if it's something like the board training, and we'll get to that one, then like I said, just write that on a Word document that you're exempt or you spoke to us and upload that. This is, so for instance, when you have to upload more than one of something, like we require 4 of your board meeting minutes, you will just click to upload here. And then it's going to require you to upload the 4 that we want. And then we're asking you if you have any additional uploads. So a lot of you will upload all 10 or 12 of your meeting minutes that you have. And so you'll just click on yes, and you'll be able to upload all of the others. But those first 4 that we require, it's going to require you to submit something there.
Emily, this is Tim. Can I ask you a question? Do you want more? Like if we have 12, do you want all 12, or do you just care about 4?
You know, Crystal, what are your thoughts on that?
For this particular, for the board meeting minutes, I would submit how many ever you have. Most documents, bylaws say that you must have at least a quarterly meeting, but some of you have monthly or bi-monthly. For the board minutes in particular, that's helpful for us to have.
Yeah, I would say on all of these, even the financials, you know, if we only require the 4, but if you have all the others, I would say upload those as well. It's helpful to us to have those. Okay. All right, so, and then a lot of this stuff is just click buttons. So like on this president-elect training, you're just checking that your president-elect did it and moving on. So this here, I said that we attached a sample agenda for your board orientation. So you can click here and it's going to make you leave the site, but it's going to bring up a PDF that has that as well. So. And it'll save all your changes here. It'll open up a new tab here for that. Again, just all of the click buttons for your articles of incorporation. If this is only if you've had changes to it, that you will have to submit that. So on this in particular and the bylaws, we are asking for the date that was last modified. So you will need to provide that to us, and then a copy of your changes, your bylaw changes or your articles of incorporation. Let's see, I'm going down to see if there are any, I just dropped this audit requirement in here. There's nothing that you need to do with this now. We're just trying to put it in as many places as possible so that you see it and that you're aware of it. So there's nothing that you need to do with that at this point. Are there any questions? This to me, it's pretty straightforward. The only other thing that I get questions on a lot is the signatures here. So I've dropped the signature page for you in here. So you have it to print out. It's also on the certificate of compliance. And so you'll get both of your president and your president-elect to sign it. And then you will upload it to the page here. So you'll just upload it on the bottom. You can save this and come back to it. So all you do when you get in, say you want to start on it and you only get to like 4 things, you can just save and you can come back in here and revisit it and upload the rest. But it will not let you save and finalize until you've put in all of those things that are required. So that's why I keep saying, if you don't have something, to make sure that you just give us a note on why, or update us on the status of that.
And what we plan moving forward is that we'd like to be able to have this up earlier in the year. So like each month after your board meeting, you can just go and upload the minutes once they're approved, or, upload all throughout the year if you prefer to do it that way, rather than wait till the end of the year and put all documents in.
Yes, and we should be able to turn this around, since we don't plan to make any changes next year, like Crystal said, have this up early so you can do it throughout the year.
Have questions along the way, any of us on the chapter team can help you. Emily's more well-versed on the platform than the rest of us. So if it's a platform issue, she can most certainly help with that. But the rest of it, any of us can likely answer your questions.
And again, the recertification is due at the end of January. And I would encourage you guys to make sure, try to log into the system before then. If there's any problems, again, just reach out to me and I'll be glad to help you with your login information. Tina's asked a question about the audits in the chat. Crystal, it's her understanding that there are different degrees of audits, some ranging thousands of dollars. Is that true?
That is true. You should talk with whoever does your bookkeeping or your tax return, and they'll be able to tell you. Usually it's based on the amount of revenue your chapter brings in. So the larger the chapter, likely the more expensive your audit is going to be. But my guess is a lot of our larger chapters probably already are doing some level of that, of either a full audit or a periodic audit every couple of years. So that's why we settled on the every 3 years, so that you could budget for it in advance.
Everyone, have a wonderful day.
Thanks for coming. See you soon.
If you have any questions, please contact a member of the Chapter Relations team or email chapterlearning@caionline.org.